shakalaka boom. You're tuned in to the Free Range Human Show of Choice, your daily dose of reality radio. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards. We are streaming live on, we are live on the mothership, the Big Stick, 103.9 FM WYAB. And we are streaming live in 4K video for those with the benefit of flashy, fancy devices in their pockets and or on their televisions at Save JXN on Facebook, YouTube, X, Rumble, and TikTok. For now. We'll see how long that lasts. But we got my good friend and yours, my favorite attorney and former Hinds County Assistant DA of 10-plus years, Mr. Shaun YURTKURAN. Good morning, Shaun.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. It was a nice morning for once.
Was it?
It's not super cold. It felt great. I walked my dog at like 5:30. It was really nice.
I did not have to preheat my car this morning.
Yeah, I know. That's how you judge in the winter.
Well, it was mainly because I forgot to, and when I walked outside, I was grateful.
Yeah, it's nice. It's supposed to be a springtime week coming up. So
yeah, I heard Saturday, it's supposed to be 70 degrees maybe.
Yeah, and which is, I'm sure it'll go back to really cold in about a week or two. We're not done with the winter yet.
Yeah. It's not even February yet. Trust me. Yeah. Trust me. It is not an early spring. It's fake spring.
Yeah, it's not. But yeah, so it's good morning. I thought about something on the drive over here right away. Was so today's Wednesday morning, and we got till Friday at 5:00 is D-Day or D-time. What do you want to call it?
For Chalkway.
Yeah, for Chalkway. And so he's got, a little over 2 days.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Two and a
half days right now to qualify.
Says he's going to. I say he's not.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So you feel like he's not going to do it, right?
Especially after reading the all the nuts and bolts of Russ's article.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see what the political upside is for him to do it. I think the risk outweigh the rewards of trying to remain mayor. And frankly, now the city of Jackson is breaking the law by even paying him.
Yeah, I didn't realize that portion that they are. Okay, so they're breaking the law doing that. I agree. I think, I'm when weighing this, part of me is his arrogance is strong. It's the force is strong with him, the dark side, it is really strong. But I don't know how much that's going to push him. But then if you look at the list of candidates, what's there, 11 candidates or something like that running? A lot of people are running. So his likelihood of success in the general election is not as good as it was in 2021 when he had this kind of rinky-dink, hodgepodge of candidates. Now he's got some serious opponents, especially like John Horn, and then Kim is going to get in, it seems like, and that kind of thing. So it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a street fight. And I don't know that. Do you risk that? I mean, what if you qualify, you give the FBI some help, or you do something that, hurts your criminal case, and you still don't win? You still don't win the mayor's race. Yeah, so it's not worth the risk at all. I don't.
And I mean, who is going to contribute to him? I mean, I know that he's got small donors.
And out of state, maybe some of those organizations that are into his message and stuff.
Maybe, but it's going to be tough locally to get money from businesses and stuff. Because what have you done for anybody? Except minus a few bars downtown and some of these minority set aside contractors.
And even they're going to try to pick a horse. This time that's going to be more likely to win, or I mean, if you're a contractor, you probably don't want to give Chalkway any money because you're worried the feds are going to be looking at it.
Yeah, I want to be careful about repeating things I've heard that I can't confirm, but I've heard one of the we'll just call them main minority set-asides has put some money behind another candidate, behind Henderson.
Okay. What's his name? Henderson what?
Is it Tim Henderson?
Yeah, I don't remember. There's this DePriest guy the white guy that I keep hearing that he's got a lot of black support. I've heard that. I don't know what's that about.
Where do you hear that from? You say you keep hearing that.
I hear that just from people locally in the neighborhood, but that's my neighborhood,
The white neighborhood?
Yeah, the white neighborhood. Right?
Talking about a white guy having black support?
Yeah, that's what they say, right? Yeah. That's
Define black support for me.
I don't know. It just generalized. They just said generally that these black churches, the way they used it, use the term. black churches. That's what I hear. That's what
they're
I
very
heard.
politicized.
Huh?
They're very politicized.
Sure. I mean, it could be BS. I don't know. I never even heard of the dude before.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it.
I'm just going to tell you, my BS meter is high with this one.
I mean, I don't think a white guy's going to win mayor of Jackson, if that's what you're asking me.
No.
Like, I'm not buying into that one.
I'm just going to tell you right now, something that fun that black people like to say on Facebook is, we need a white mayor. But when they go in that box and it's just them, Jesus, and that ballot, they ain't voting for a white mayor.
No, it's happened in majority black cities before, like New Orleans. Mitchell Andrew won, but his dad was mayor in the 70s. There was a historical thing.
Yeah, I know it just happened in Baton Rouge.
Mm-hmm, Baton Rouge and Memphis didn't happen too, I think.
But no,
I thought
it did not happen in Memphis. Not recently, anyway.
I'm just saying at one point in the last maybe decade or something. I'm thinking
recently, no. Yeah. Memphis is on a downward trajectory that has the people in Jackson trying to say, "Hold my beer." They've got a massive scandal with their school board going on up there.
I haven't followed it. Yeah.
Well, I follow a few things on X that are Memphis adjacent, and on Facebook, and it's a poop show up there. Let's take a call real quick on the Mazda Jackson phone. We got Derek on the line. Good morning, Derek.
Hey, good morning, my friend. I'm a little under the weather, but I just wanted to say this real quick because I don't know if it's open forum, but isn't it amazing to be American this morning watching our president basically pull his balls out in front of all these other countries that's been suckling off our teeth for far too long? Or is my words too horrible?
Well, I mean, I don't know. You said them now. No. Yes, it is a great thing. I'm sorry. Yes, it's
I'm sorry. Take Colombia, for instance. They didn't want to let our planes land, so he whipped them out in front of them. And then they say, even the government officials out there at the airport greeting the planes from Colombia. Did you see that?
No, but I heard about all of it. I hadn't watched it.
Yeah, and then he went to the OPEC summit and basically told the Arabs what it's going to be like. See, we need somebody like that, good old-fashioned American exceptionalism. Letting you know that, we're not going to take your crap. And what is so wrong with that? How do we get so polarized and politically correct that we can't basically put our foot down to these countries and tell them, no, y'all been, some of our weak noodleback leaders have been catering to you for far too long. And I love it, man. I love every minute of it.
Yeah,
and Clay, if it's okay with you, can I give a disclaimer real quick?
Sure.
Black people, you're not going back to Africa, okay? Stop that. Jesus. When they send all the Hispanics back, they're going to go after us. No. If they would have done that, they would have done it under a president like Woodrow Wilson or somebody like that, and even they didn't do it. As much of a staunch racist as he was. So stop it. America has no history of trying to send you back, except to Liberia, and you volunteered for that. Okay? Now, however, Clay, you're a good friend of mine. You don't particularly care for GoFundMe, but Clay and I started GoFundMe to help you get a ticket to go back if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, I fully support
would you at least
people.
do a GoFundMe for that, Clay?
I fully support people going wherever they want to go.
Yeah. But no, I just wanted to say, man, hey, look, man, it feels good to wake up being an American, when we got a president that's bringing testosterone and making it great again.
100%, brother, 100%. That's why I changed the flag out back behind me in the studio from a FAFO flag to an American flag. It's good to be an American again.
You darn right. Have a good one, friend.
All right, brother, you too.
Actually, with the, Lincoln came up with the Liberia idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Panama, he'd actually looked into those things, send freed slaves there. So.
Yeah.
Just historical perspective, but that's, yeah.
Did they go?
No, they did not. But I'm just saying that was I think that's what he was referring to.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So.
Gotcha. That was above my pay grade.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, we did. I was like, when was this? But
yeah, right. Before the Civil War and after the Civil War, Lincoln had looked into those kinds of things.
Yeah.
They never happened, but never materialized. But yeah.
I don't know if I want to go somewhere I've never been, but I'm already somewhere I've never been. But I'm here now.
Yeah.
Make the best of a bad situation.
Speaking of somebody who we wouldn't mind leaving the country, would be Chokwe. That's why I think we were in the middle of that, and so yeah, I don't know. I think back to the whole article thing that Russ wrote, and I just don't see the upside for him to file this paperwork at all. If I was his lawyer, I would tell him absolutely under no circumstances do you do that. If you do that, I'm quitting. I would actually quit the case because I'd be like, this is so stupid, and you're going so against my advice that we can't work together. So yeah, that would be my advice to him from a the criminal perspective, because the only reason for him to run for mayor is he can run, like, he can play the whole, like, politics thing, saying I'm the mayor and they're going after me politically and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And that's not going to work with a federal jury like it would in Hinds County. So there's just no benefit to it. Now, if he was being tried in Hinds County State Court, I might feel differently. I'd be like, yeah, you might want to try to stay mayor. Because, like Frank went on trial, Robert Smith, both of them are acquitted. Like, I would give him maybe that advice under that circumstance. But this with the federal court, federal jury with all the different counties, I'm like, under no circumstances, So we'll see that. But I'm with you. I don't think he does it.
No. Well, here's what I was just visioning as we were talking about black people going back to Africa, and where Derek was suggesting black people going back to Africa, or debunking black people going back to Africa. I was thinking over here, because he owns a bunch of dashikis or whatever that African garb and stuff is. Yeah, whatever. He owns a bunch of that whenever he needs it. I could see him going on the lam. I mean, he flies out of Jackson a lot. Yeah. He knows his way around Hartsfield in Atlanta. He goes to Atlanta a lot, which just coincidentally is also the black trans capital of the world. Find that just I love fun facts. Fun facts. Okay. I've seen the banana suit. I've seen the skinny jeans. I'm not saying. I'm just saying there's a case to be made.
Right.
But neither here nor there. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he.
It wouldn't shock me. I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm just saying. The banana suit, the skinny jeans. There's a lot. The puzzle's starting to fit together a little bit. Weekly flights to Atlanta. What are we doing in Atlanta? What's her name? Maybe
his name?
Allegedly. But I could see him putting on the dashiki thing, maybe, and maybe going back and living in a mud hut, on the run, not being sent over there against.
No, I'm saying like on the land,
him willingly saying, back to the motherland, back to the motherland.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to think that he's being monitored, right? Like, I wonder has he surrendered his passport as part of the bond? Probably, maybe.
Yeah, y'all, and I mean, just don't forget, the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, is currently out on bond.
Yeah,
I mean, he got a bail bondsman.
Yeah, I would think that's what he would have to done. Right? I don't know what his bond was.
I don't know how it works.
I don't really know. I don't know if they the federal's a little different. I don't know if they RR'd him or what the deal was.
Shout out to Jody Wages over at Liberty Bail Bonds.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ashley Allman. I think it's Allman Bonding. I'm not sure which one she has, but we give shout out to my bail bonds friends out there. All of them. Who's our other friend?
Emily Anderson, my friend who works for Jody.
Yep. At Liberty, yeah, Emily.
Liberty.
Shout out to all of our bail bonds friends. If any of our bail bonds friends want to sponsor the Cled show, we do have a space available for a bail bondsman. We don't have one, so I will take one. I'm sure plenty of our listeners F around and find out. As busy as Shaun stays with our listeners, I can't help but imagine that some of y'all may in fact need a bail bondsman. So if any bail bondsmen are out there listening that would like to sponsor the show, I mean, I know a lot of Jacksonians listen, and I ain't saying. I'm just saying. We'll be right back.
Your bail bondsman gets paid before your lawyer. That's what I've learned. That's the way it works.
Yeah, the bail bondsman gets his. You don't get out until he gets his.
Exactly.
All right, we're going to take a break real quick. We'll be right back. Shaun and I got several things we're going to discuss this morning. Coming up at 8 a.m., or 8:07 to be exact, State Auditor Shad White going to come in here. We're going to talk about the big food fight going on down there between him and Senator Polk and Delbert Hosemann. Why are they trying to limit his auditing powers? Are they trying to hide something? Whether they are or not, that's what it sounds like to Clay. We're going to get the auditors' thoughts and opinions on it, Shaun's, and more. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere on WYAB. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, here live with Shaun YURTKURAN on 103.9 FM WYAB, streaming worldwide in 4K video. Just search Save JXN on Facebook, YouTube, X, Rumble, and TikTok. Breaking the law. This segment brought to you by our friends down there on Highway 49 South at Pop's Auto Sales. Man, swing by today and see my good friends at Pop's Auto Sales. You can check them out online, popsautosales.llc.com. Get pre-approved before you even go down there. Man, you can't beat that. Save time. Check out some of their late model vehicles. And they just got some cool stuff, man. I'm sitting here looking at the website now. They got vehicles starting under $10,000 and, of course, going all the way up over $30,000. And unfortunately, in today's market, it doesn't take much to get into the over $30,000 range nowadays. But, hey, that's that's the world we live in. Trucks. I remember when trucks were affordable, but look, neither here nor there. Shout out to all the people that traded in their BMWs in the 90s and started driving pickup trucks and made the price shoot up through the roof. But that's what happens when you take something that's meant for work and you turn it into luxury.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate the luxury too.
No, they're great. You know, if you can afford them.
But I don't appreciate the $100,000 half-ton truck.
Unbelievable.
But all that aside, man, look, it is what it is. You need a great vehicle. Get over there to Pop's Auto Sales. Like I said, they got financing available for all credit situations. A bunch of gorgeous vehicles there. I got their website pulled up. Let me see here. View inventory. Man, they got a sweet-looking 2014 Cadillac CTS, all-wheel drive, four-door sedan, 3.6 liter, 110,000 miles. They haven't got the price posted yet. Must have just got it in. Let's see here. Anybody want a smaller pickup? Talking about, more affordable pickups. They got a 2018 Chevrolet Colorado Z71 four-wheel drive, 104,000 miles, four-wheel drive, only $22,999. Guys, that's actually pretty affordable. Here's a badass. Said it twice, two times. 2009 Chevrolet Corvette Z06, 41,000 miles, 6-speed. I don't have to tell you all the details. If you know what a Z06 is, you know what I'm talking about. These are rare birds, black in color, black rims, $38,999. Guys, you're going through a midlife crisis, get you a Corvette. You're just going through a divorce, you're in your 40s, figuring out what you're going to do. You pull up to Shuckers in a vet. You pull up to Pelican in a vet, Cypress Point, any of these places that I hang out with fellow 40-plus-year-olds. You're probably not leaving alone. I don't know. I'm just saying. Swing by Pop's Auto Sales. Check it out in person.
Get you a vet in the boat, and you're all right.
But look, now look. Rumor has it that every Corvette purchase comes with a Tommy Bahama shirt.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah. And a pair of jorts.
That's what I was about to say, or short shorts, like Magnum PI shorts.
Jorts, New Balances, and a Tommy Bahama shirt, all magically, like the Corvette Ferry just drops them off, whether you buy new or used.
If they're selling Corvettes, they actually should try that as a promotion one day and say,
it would be great.
Get this.
It would be great. Somebody's really missing out on a great marketing opportunity not to offer jorts and Tommy Bahama shirts. We can even do a FAFO edition Tommy Bahama.
Yeah, just might as well
take it next level. Next level. Now, look, all joking aside, I do love Corvettes, and if I ever buy one, I am in fact buying the barbecue kit with it.
Yeah, we're saying this because we're jealous. I mean, this is really what this is about. We're hating this.
Yeah,
It's not that I would totally buy a Corvette.
I'm a jealous hater, not a hater.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this Corvette looks awesome. Swing by there and check it out. All right, man, it's Pop's Auto Sales, LLC.com.
You know when you do those hate, like I saw Teddy was selling like a $200,000 G-Wagon the other day.
Yeah.
And I was like, who would buy that? Then of course I said I would if I had $200,000. That's just hating. I would totally buy it. It's awesome.
100%. Guns and Gear text line 769-241-1944. 769-241-1944. The Mazda of Jackson phone line 601-879-0002. If you guys want to chime in on anything we're talking about this morning. Real quick, federal judge, let's cue this up here. A federal judge has blocked Trump's blocking of federal grants and funds and loans and all of that stuff so they can kind of get an idea of kind of where everything's going, what it's being wasted on. And clearly there's a lot of government waste, and that's something I would love to talk to Auditor White about here this morning, kind of his thoughts and opinions on that too. I think it's a good thing. Just to get a grip on everything for a second. I don't know. Maybe give everybody a 30-day heads up. Maybe there's a more politically correct way to do it. But you know what? Screw politically correct. When the Democrats want to come down on us, they don't think about politically correct. So neither should we. I'm out for revenge. I'm not out to play nice with anybody. We got to make America great again, and sometimes that involves pissing people off. And you know what? I co-sign on all that. Let's. I haven't delved into that issue as much. What I did see, I've heard just kind of in clips, but the one thing I did see that Trump did, I thought was kind of a good idea, was this offering all federal employees a buyout. I thought that was a pretty smart idea, because there could be a ton of people that want to retire at that point or quit or whatever it is. It's like an 8-month buyout plus your benefits.
Something like that. I don't know. That just seemed like a pretty good idea to me, actually.
They said they expect millions to take it. Let's listen to this video real quick over on WLBT. Get everybody caught up on what's going on.
Watching Local News Live, I'm Graham Olkins with a breaking news update. Just minutes before it was set to take effect, a federal judge has blocked President Trump's freeze, a pause on federal grant funding that goes out to nonprofits, goes out to states and other agencies across the country. U.S. District Judge Lauren Ali Khan blocked the action this afternoon, again, just minutes before it was set to take effect at 5 o'clock Eastern. The White House had planned to start this pause as part of a review of federal spending. But earlier today, when this was announced, this plan from the White House caused confusion, even some panic among organizations that rely on this federal funding for their programs. The administration said that Social Security, Medicare, food stamps, student loans would not be affected, but there are a host of other agencies and nonprofits that depend on these federal grant dollars to stay up and running. So again, there is a pause now, at least until Monday, a temporary pause on this executive order from President Trump to freeze federal funding, at least until Monday. So that means now all of the programs, all of the funding will stay in place as is, at least until this coming Monday, and then we'll have to go from there. But again, a pause from a federal judge on Donald Trump's executive order that would have frozen this federal money that goes out to nonprofits and other organizations.
Lots of nonprofits are hustles. And I have suffice to say, race baiting, gender baiting hustles that need
the religious hustle too, though. I mean, there's those ones too.
Yeah, I'm sure
there's a lot of that.
There's a period. But we've had to sit under the Democrat agenda and narrative for the last 4 years, so now it's time. Now it's time to get under ours and kind of see what direction things are going and what we want to be wasting our money on, like $50 million going to condoms in Gaza.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous.
I mean, I understand funding birth control in Gaza. You know, you can kind of nip that in the bud, but the reproduction of that, you inevitably do away with the reproduction. Yeah, of people you deem the enemy. I guess I can understand that, but all joking aside, why are we funding gender studies in Pakistan? That was a big one a couple years ago. Why are we sending $50 million to Gaza for condoms? It's this thing. It ain't going to condoms. Yeah. It's a damn lie.
Right.
It's going to
graft. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to somebody that did something else. Like, all right, we're going to say you did this for condoms, and who's ever going to follow up to make sure the condoms all got equally distributed?
That's as old as time. I mean, it's kind of federal aid or overseas international aid.
Because first of all, what I know about Islam is, are they even having premarital sex? I mean,
they're not supposed to, but I'm sure they're just like
Christians aren't either. But it's way more. It's way more stuff like that's way more enforced over there.
Yeah, I mean, depends on what Muslim country you're in.
I know they rape Jews and Americans and all that, and apparently that's just part of it. That don't count. That's whatever. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. Like, I mean, if you're a place like Pakistan, where that would be more heavily enforced, and I don't know how. I don't know the enforcement, but yeah, I mean, if there's definitely, it's a harsher type of Islamic law in certain countries.
That'd be like Sharia law.
Yeah, right. In certain countries it would be a lot harsher. Yeah, it depends on which one you're in, and I don't know the enforcement mechanisms. Like, how do they know someone's having premarital sex? I don't know how that works, but yeah, I think there's just a little bit tougher. But
yeah, I mean, and I know in government money wise, $50 million ain't a lot of money, but if we're wasting it on that, what else are we wasting $50 million on? It starts to add up, and boom, you're at $1 billion real quick. We've gotten way too comfortable in this country just throwing billions around.
Yeah. No, I mean, we just, especially like what you just said, like why is our responsibility to give, how much money was it to the condoms? $50 million. And why is that our responsibility?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean?
I mean, I want to know who approved it, because I feel it's criminal.
That it just doesn't seem like that. Is it the United States supposed to fund condoms throughout the world? Like, that doesn't seem like what we should do. So I want to know who the condom company is that got this contract. How much money did they donate to somebody? I want a full audit. There's a lot more to this than
I want a full audit done on this and everything else. And I'm sure Fauci's probably to blame for this somewhere or another. Did you know that we were paying $20 million? I hadn't got a chance to talk about this on the show. I know we were going to talk about some other stuff. We will. Can you believe we were paying $20 million a year for his security?
Really?
Yeah.
What, during COVID or?
Period. I don't know for how long we've been doing it, but his personal security that Trump snatched out away from him the other day was costing us $20 million a year. What? How much? And I'm just curious in relation
How did it cost
to
that much.
Like in comparison, not to the president or vice president, but to other people that have Secret Service. Now this was private, but like how much are we spending? I'm assuming the Speaker of the House probably has Secret Service.
Yeah, I think so.
I would hope.
I know Nancy Pelosi did, right?
Yeah, like people of that high profile. And I'm not even saying that. Look, I hate Fauci. He probably needed it during COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably needed it during COVID. But now, and I love the spin job they put on this. Like now all these right-wing activists are going to try to kill him. I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's right-wing people. Y'all keep telling me that it's right-wing people that do all this stuff, but after I have fact-checked and debunked it, it is not. It's actually usually left-wing people who are doing all of this stuff, and people who have bought into the rainbow agenda and all of that stuff seem to be the ones doing the really bad stuff out there with these mass pew-pews and all that all going on. But, look, this guy has been creating chemical warfare, pandemic warfare for countries. It's these other countries that I think you're having to worry about with him. It's not Americans. I mean, didn't Putin just put out basically say you give us Fauci, we'll pull out of Ukraine completely?
Did he say that?
Yeah,
I didn't see that. He said that.
Yeah, I mean he wants Fauci.
Huh. Seems like a pretty good trade. I mean, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Look,
he'll leave Ukraine, or you just got to give him Fauci.
Yeah, like
can we give him Kanye too? And,
so here's what I would do.
And Puffy.
So I told Brian Jones this last night. He had him over at the house doing a podcast. Really fun podcast. Y'all go back and watch it on my same video channel as you're watching this on. And I think it uploaded this morning or it'll upload later today to my audio only platforms. But I told Brian this last night. I said, because he was the one that told me about it, and I kind of heard it in one ear and out the other. Let's just say it's true for the sake of this conversation.
Okay.
And I was like, well, you can't as America say, okay, we're going to give you this American. Even though I don't think a whole lot of people would argue with Fauci at this point, but it just sets a bad standard. But what I would do is just say, hey, look, hey, Russia, come on in, get him, And what we'll say is, oh, look, somebody must have snuck in Biden's open border, and they were already here and they got him, and they were just able to get him on out of here. And we don't want to know what happened. Fauci just disappeared, and one of Biden's illegals got him.
Yeah, it's kind of like what they did with Adolf Eichmann, one of the top Nazis, back in the 60s in Argentina. Yeah. The Mossad came into Argentina dressed as, like, I think flight attendants and just snatched him and just left it everywhere. It's like, oh, well, I don't know what happened to that guy.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, just whatever. Like they took him back to Israel. There's a couple great movies on that too. It's really interesting.
But that's interesting. We got some. Let's see what WLBT just pushed through, and we got to take a break. No, that's just a random thing about weather. All right, guys, we're gonna take a break real quick. If y'all want to call in this morning, Mazda Jackson phone line 601-879-0002. Guns and Gear text line 769-241-1944. Shad White will be here at top of the hour. 8:07. Shad White will be in the house, and we will be right back. Don't go nowhere. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here live on WYAB. This segment brought to you by B3 Catering and Burgers Blues Barbecue. Guys, do you need any catering for your office, for your event, for anything you have going on that you don't feel like having to prepare food for or take everybody out to eat for? A lot of work being done at the offices. It's getting, all my accountants out there, I know y'all are really busy. Getting ready for tax time and all that. The crunch time is now. Tax day is April 15th. It ain't but a few weeks away. A few months away. Whatever. You're busy at the office. All my car lot guys. Every Saturday we used to get catering and stuff brought in so guys didn't have to leave on Saturday. Girls. When I say guys, I mean the team, guys and girls, as in you guys. I can think of a million reasons why you need to get food brought in. You know, people hear the word catering and they just think big spread and having to spend thousands of dollars, and that's just not always the case. Reach out to Taylor over at B3 Catering. That's there with the Burgers, Blues, Barbecue, and they can custom build and design any menu you may have. If you have food allergies, they got you covered. You have dietary restrictions, they got you covered. Hey, none of that, they got you covered. Need a platter of sliders, they got you covered. A platter of chicken strips, so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying here? You can text, hey, what's up, or whatever else, to Taylor over at B3 Catering. You can also book the food trucks that they have available through Burgers, Blues, Barbecue. They got 2 of them. The number to text or call is 601-500-7579. I'm going to give it to you one more time. 601-500-7579. Or if you're like me and can't remember phone numbers, B3, the number 3, the letter B, B3catering.com. And, of course, don't forget Burgers, Blues, Barbecue, and their all-new location right there in Dogwood at Flowood. Today's Blue Plate special of the day at all 3 Burgers, Blues, Barbecue locations are, I know they have red beans and rice and hamburger steak every day as their main staples that you can get Monday through Friday. And today's alternating meat on Wednesday is there is no alternating meat today. The special is red beans and rice with hamburger steak and gravy. So I'm going to give you a menu option that Clay would try if I was there today, because y'all do know that I eat at Burgers, Blues, Barbecue probably more than any other restaurant in all of central Mississippi, because it's a block from my house and I love it. Remember the guy that had that song, "Take your shirt off, spin it around your head like a helicopter"? He had that song said, I like to shout out Seagram Gin because I'm drinking it and they're paying me for it. Burgers, Blues, Barbecue. I like to shout out Burgers, Blues, Barbecue because I'm eating it and they're paying me for it.
Right.
I'd be eating it and paying them for it if I wasn't. Anyway, I kid around. I spend money when I go. But try any of the smash burgers. The bacon jam smash is my personal favorite. All right, back to Petey Pablo. By the way, is who I was trying to think of there. It's Petey Pablo. So take your shirt off, twist it around your head, spin it like a helicopter. Oh man, that takes me back. Shaun, we got 5 minutes to get this 4 minutes to get this conversation out the way.
All right, let's roll it, man.
Let's do it.
Something we were talking about yesterday.
Explain it.
Yeah, so we were talking yesterday. Clay and I just sometimes come up with these random things that we talk about, and how like either each side has their own little, I don't know if grift is the right word, or something you can't talk out against when you know it's stupid. I guess maybe that's what it is. Yeah, I think it's
like
kind of,
you have to get in line, and if you disagree, the left will kick you out, and if you disagree, the right won't necessarily kick you out, but they'll disown you.
Yeah, they'll disown you. And so what the 2 things that we found out from the left and right were, on the left, it's like, you know, I'm always saying the trans agenda is ridiculous as somebody that's been a Democrat, because it is. I mean, it's insanity. And I don't know how anybody doesn't look at it that way. It's in the DSM-5 manual, which is psychiatric conditions. It's a mental health condition. That's my opinion. That'll get you kicked out of the left for saying that. It's just a fact. It is what it is.
The government says it's more than an opinion.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
In their very handbook.
Right, but I mean, I mean, so like, but if you say that on the left, it's like, oh my God, no, like you can't call them, this is a mental, like, what? Yes, it is. It is. Like, let's just accept it. We're normalizing basically schizophrenia. You know what I mean? Like, it would be like the same thing. So anyway, you can't say that on your left. Now, we decided on the right, the one thing you can't talk about that's ridiculous is, Clay, I'll give it to you.
Human trafficking, sex trafficking.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to call this out as a grift. And I do want to say, yes, there is human and sex trafficking, but you know, sometimes like I just call that child rape.
Right.
Like I'm sorry, you cannot convince me that it is the epidemic and pandemic that we're treating it like.
Yeah.
And because what we've redone is we've taken prostitution and we've renamed it human trafficking. There must be some federal funds and grants and stuff available for these groups. Yeah. And I'm not saying there ain't people that are doing good work trying to fight, you know, child rape.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But a lot of this is people, and I'm going to take this child sex trafficking part out of this.
Okay.
Because I just don't think that it's happening to the level that people think. I think children are being raped and abused, and it's always a loved one doing it.
Sure.
But they ain't being trafficked. I'm sorry. Maybe, I don't even know what you see. You say trafficking, and I think we're running state to state here.
Or like the movie, the newest Rambo. Did you ever watch that?
No.
No, okay, that's, he goes to Mexico and gets his, niece or something. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen in these singular incidents. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that I don't think it's happening like they're saying it's happening. And on the right, you're not allowed to suggest that there may be a bit of a grift going on here. Because some girl getting strung out on dope and going down to Jackson or New Orleans and deciding she wants to live that life and be a prostitute and stay high all the time, that ain't being trafficked.
No.
She may be getting pimped.
Yeah, she's getting pimped.
She may be getting pimped. She ain't getting trafficked. And that on the right, that's like and you can't be a pro-choice conservative.
Right, yeah, that too.
And you can't be a pro-life Democrat.
Like they're jumping RFK today. You'll see that, like on the right. That's going to happen, I think, at the hearing about that kind of stuff. I've had tons, and I was telling you this yesterday, I've had tons of private conversations with law enforcement, prosecutors, police officers. They all agree that this is a grift, and they can't say anything because they're like, they're like me who've had a career in this kind of stuff, and they're like, it's prostitution. But we have to call it human trafficking. And I had one person I was talking to that said that, that they were forced to prosecute somebody under human trafficking when they were showing me the facts. It was like, obviously this guy was a pimp and these were girls he was running. Yeah. They weren't being trafficked, but everything has to be called that now.
Yeah. And now I want to do an investigation into where these are two things, both, and we got to go to our break, but why did the left sink their teeth into trans as being their thing that you are not allowed to question on any level? We probably have already been kicked off TikTok since this conversation started.
So, yeah.
And when did the right pick prostitution to change the name of it to this human trafficking thing? Yeah. Oh my God! Don't come out of Walmart and It's always Walmart and Richland, and there's a white string tied to your door handle. You're going to get trafficked. That is a damn lie. Quit telling people that and quit picking on Walmart and Richland. We'll be right back to close out the first hour. We got Shad White coming up in hour 2. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the final minute of the first hour here of the Clay Edwards Show. If you're watching online, you see we just had a guest, State Auditor Shad White, sit down. We'll get him mic'd up and ready for the top of hour 2. And yes, I am getting y'all's messages and hate mail about us calling out human trafficking as kind of being a big grift. And again, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. Yeah. I'm just saying it ain't happening at the industrial rates that y'all keep telling me it is. Prostitution, self-inflicted prostitution, is in fact not human trafficking. That is a bad decision. Yeah, being pimped and being trafficked are not the same thing, and you will never convince me otherwise. And I don't care who y'all tell me to text and call and all that stuff. I already know all those people, and that's why I feel rather confident saying the things that I'm saying.
We should do like a little mind map for people and put it on Facebook.
I'm saying this was like
this is a pimp and this is trafficked.
Yes,
it's a difference.
There's a difference. I went and saw that. I went and saw that movie too. It's a great movie. I'm not saying some of that isn't true. I'm just saying that that's the rare occasion. That is not the norm.
Right.
All right, look, hour 2 coming up with State Auditor Shad White. We're going to be discussing a bunch of things going on down there. Why are they messing with Shad? And more here on the Clay Edwards Show on 103.9 FM WYAB with Shaun YURTKURAN and myself. We will be right back. Tell a friend. Hit the share button. Peace out. Boom, shakalaka boom. We've tuned in to the free range human show of choice. This is the Clay Edwards Show. It is hour 2 of the most incendiary show on the radio and online. I like to claim. I don't know. Maybe there's something else out there. Y'all have to send it to me if it is. I like incendiary content, so please engage me with that. This segment is going to be brought to you by our friends over at Ellis Autoplex. Man, be sure to check out Casey and the team today at ellisautoplex.com, located on Highway 471 in Flowood, Mississippi. Great selection of great selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. But what they specialize in is 4-door, 4-wheel drive trucks, American-made. and others, I guess. But swing by there, check them out today, and don't forget they do in fact buy vehicles. They will make you a fair market value offer and cut you a check today. You don't have to deal with the marketplace maniacs, the Craigslist crazies, the bogus checks, all that stuff. There's such an epidemic of that going on right now. You would think people would learn, but they don't. And you're not going to have to worry about none of that when you go sell your vehicle to Ellis Autoplex. And they're also now doing major automotive repairs. So if you got something seriously wrong with your vehicle, swing by there and let them check it out. They're not doing like oil changes and stuff of that nature, but like major repairs, like, stuff like alternators, transmissions, engines. They got you covered right there in Rankin County. Ellis Autoplex, Highway 471, right down there close to Highway 25 on that end of 471 in that little stretch that's in Flowood there, right across from Frierson's and the back porch crawfish hut. All right, you may recognize the man sitting here in the studio if you're watching us on the live stream on Facebook, X, YouTube, Rumble, and we were on TikTok. I don't know if we still are after talking.
Open question.
Yeah, after suggesting that the trans thing may in fact be a bit of a grift.
Have they changed this policy since Trump's kind of helped them out? Like,
I don't know.
They changed it. They're like, we have to switch to conservative filtering now.
I sure hope so.
They're doing
probably. The answer is probably.
Well, I saw where Satan himself is in the running to buy it, that being Bill Gates. So I don't know.
Jeez.
I don't know. We shall see. But we've got State Auditor Shad White here in the studio. This is the second time Shad's been in the studio, and I think the third time he's been on the show. He called in on election night and hung out with us for a little while. We appreciate that. Shad, we were right that night. We were on,
Thank goodness we were right.
Team Trump. Shaun, he picked the other side.
Sorry, Shaun.
Yeah. But I didn't vote for the other side.
You didn't vote for him.
I did vote for the Libertarian candidate, though. I can't remember that guy's name.
I was about to ask you, who did you vote for? What was his name?
I cannot remember his name.
Yeah.
Chase something.
Oliver.
Yeah, that's right. Chase Oliver. Thank you.
So, fun fact, I interviewed Chase Oliver.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You were telling me that night.
It was before he was the nominee, but he was running. Yeah. He had announced that he was going to run.
Did you tell him all his votes in the country were in the room?
Yeah, that's right. Pretty much.
I should have.
I did watch some documentary about that recently. That like all the libertarian votes really went to Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. That was one of Trump's best moves, in my opinion. Was going and speaking at their convention and promising to let that dude out that started the Silk Road thing, and following up on that day one, day two, like he did. Look, man, it's been promises made, promises kept, and look, Trump, he's just doing what he said he would do. Maybe courts strike stuff down. That's not his. He can't control that.
Yep.
But I mean, I don't think you've ever seen. Shaun's a bit of a presidential historian. Shad, you may be too, but I don't think you've ever seen a president accomplish as much as he has as far as promises made, promises kept in a week.
There was actually an article I read, you guys will hate it, but I was reading the New York Times this morning and about the breakneck speed.
Boo.
Of the well, it actually said it was kind of a strategy. It was he's done so many things so quickly that the Democrats don't know how to respond because it's kind of like you're getting suffocated with all the new stuff.
Flood
and
the zone.
You can't respond quick enough. It was pretty interesting.
That was some advice. He's actually a convicted murderer now. You remember Napoleon Edwards, the cipher voice, the guy, the local guy that killed the guy, but he used to have a podcast and radio show and all that stuff. What he told me early on, we used to do a radio show together, and I was just kind of getting into posting what you would call controversial stuff online, and I asked him how he dealt with it. He said, "Oh, you just keep posting more. Just flood the zone."
Yeah.
He said, by the time you've posted 10 more things, they forgot about the first thing.
Yeah.
That may have been a little more controversial.
It's kind of was the idea here. That's what they were explaining in the article. Yeah,
so that's kind of what I went with was, just flood the zone. That's kind of what you're doing, Shad.
And then kill someone. Wait, that's Napoleon, not you.
There's a line there. What the zone needs, we got to stop the zone right there.
Well, it's like I hate having to reference a guy that did something so terrible, but also, I can't leave that part out of my story.
Sure.
Because he was a very integral part of that before he lost his dang mind.
Yeah.
And there's an important insight there about being on offense, and President Trump has clearly mastered that. I think some of that comes from being in office 4 years and realizing, oh, look, well, I've got this one shot to do this right. Let me just do it. Let me push out everything that I want to get done, and then if people stand in my way, then fine. But he's clearly mastered this art. And I think you're just going to see a very, very active 18 months. And the legislation's coming too. So all the stuff that we've seen so far has been executive orders. But the next round is going to be, bills in Congress to to lower the taxes again, or keep the Trump tax cuts, do something on the border, whatever it may be. You're going to see that happen next, I think.
Well, I tell you what, there's nobody more excited than the guy speaking right now, myself. Yeah. I'm very excited to see it all happen. And 4 years of losing, now we got a chance to have 4 to 12 years of winning. I'm super excited to see what comes from it, and I hope that he's able to change enough minds, even detractors that can sit there and say, hey, I disagree with maybe this, but you know what, there's more money in my pocketbook, and everything's safer. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we can make that happen. Shad, you've been making a lot happen, brother.
It's just a normal week in the auditor's office. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I was waiting for you in that hearing to say to Senator Polk, R. Favre. I was just waiting. I was just waiting for that. I was watching. I was like, come on, man. Because you're always funny on Twitter and Facebook. And I was like, I'm just waiting for this. But, Republican Favre, because he represents a district that even the senator that they were having to dispute with,
Yeah, I called that.
Yeah, I was like, R. Favre. This guy's definitely got Favre's interest at heart.
The thing I wanted to ask, I just didn't feel like it was the appropriate time. The thing I wanted to ask was, okay, well, how many of your constituents are poor, or how many of your constituents pay taxes? Because those are the actual victims of the welfare scandal. Yeah. And if you're not willing to stand up and ask some tough questions in defense of all those taxpayers, the men and women who just go to work every day, they pay their taxes, they go shop at Walmart, they send their kids to school, they go to church, they're just trying to follow the rules and do the right thing. If you're not going to stand up for them, and you're instead just going to stand up for one person that you may know who's famous, what kind of representative are you? That's not the kind of person that I vote for. But look, his constituents can make their own decisions about whether they like him or not.
Yeah, I thought that he really lost me the second he went to the formula that you used to come up with what the penalties and whatnot that Favre owed. And let me ask this, and you may or may not be able to answer this because it's currently in litigation. Was there something differently done to figure up his debt versus somebody else's?
No, our statute tells us how to calculate interest, and without getting super nerdy and into the weeds, it's basically 1% per month interest, non-aggregated. So that means that we don't add any interest back into the principal. That's set by law. So that's just kind of the way we do it. And then we track our investigative hours and that kind of thing. But really, I mean, the big picture point here is, why are we asking questions about things like that as opposed to asking questions about how much waste there is in state government, or how did this welfare scandal happen, and all of those big picture things that matter to normal people out there every single day. They want to know their taxpayer dollars are being spent the right way. They want to know that their taxpayer dollars are not being wasted by state government. So I'd love it if the state legislature, specifically Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann and his chairman, if they would engage on that question. I think the House is engaged on those kinds of questions if you look at some of the bills that have been filed over there. But I'm still waiting on state Senate leadership to really take up the findings that we've had over the course of the past 2 or 3 years and start crafting legislation to fix some of these problems. People are just tired of it. People are tired of watching their state government waste money, and there are ways to fix it, but we got to have legislative support in order to get it done.
It does feel like the House side is just more common sense.
Yeah,
right now, it just feel like it's just a little more based common sense type stuff comes out of there, where I just see some of the things on the Senate side, and it really just makes me scratch my head.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I loved your response to Polk, and I waited intentionally to this morning to listen to that thing.
Sure.
Because I wanted it to be top of mind. I'd read a little bit, but I listened to it all the way in from Brandon this morning and finished it up in the parking lot out here. And I love the fire that you bring to the table. And I'm not just sitting here waxing poetically for the sake of it. When he even tried to suggest or something about you maybe having a family member associated with that firm.
You weren't happy about that.
You can't say that. No, you cannot say that stuff without. Like, I don't run out there and have a press conference and say, "Hey, I heard John Polk cheated on his taxes." You can't just say rumors out loud, frame them as a question, and then act like that's a normal thing to do in public life. And look, I probably would have a little more patience if he had done that about me, if he had said something false about me and framed it as a question. But when you do that to my wife, we got a bigger problem all of a sudden. And not only that, but she's not a public figure. I'm a public figure. You want to yell at me and Kroger in the milk aisle? Fire away, brother. Like, I signed up for this. Mm-hmm. But don't come after my wife and her business interests when you are literally making up the rumor and then asserting the rumor as a question. It's not the way you handle business. And you know, I told him the truth in the hearing, which is that if you say that as a sentence, if you say that that's happened, it's not true, and I'm going to sue you because that's my only recourse at that point. You said it out loud, and I have no other option but to say you can't defame my wife in front of everybody. Come on.
Yeah, I get. Was that some scuttlebutt that was going on the internet or something? People were suggesting maybe.
Yeah. So my wife worked at a consulting firm that was a competitor to Boston Consulting Group, not Boston Consulting Group. And so for some reason on the internet, of course, it got turned around. Yeah, it's like my wife worked for Reebok and I bought a bunch of Nikes. Like then it got turned around and like, oh, Shad's wife worked for Nike and he bought a bunch of Nikes with taxpayer money. Well, no, it's the exact opposite of that. And again, like his job as a representative is not to just read something on the internet and be like, oh, I guess that's true. Maybe I should bring that up in a formal hearing in the state Senate. His job is to sort through fact from fiction and ask good questions based on that. So really, it all gets back to one of the things I said toward the end of that hearing, which is this is not actually a debate about the substance. This is really just about politics, right? Like, if this were a debate about substance, he would have known not to ask that question. He wouldn't have asked some of the other questions that he asked. Really, this is about the fact that his buddy, Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann, wants to run for governor, worst kept secret in Jackson, and he sees me as the person standing in the way of that. And so, surprise, surprise, his key committee chairmen are going to come after me. And, of course, it happened in that hearing. But then it also happened with the bill that was dropped a couple of days later. And all of that stuff is just wild when you think about it. But also, it's totally expected if you just know how politics works.
I'm sorry.
Well, let's take a break real quick.
Yeah.
When we come back, I know Shaun's got some questions he wants to ask, and I do want to get to that bill and some other stuff. We got State Auditor Shad White here in the studio this morning on the Clay Edwards Show on WYAB. Tell a friend. Hit the share button if you're watching online. If you got any questions, shoot them to us on the Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. We'll try to get those asked by Shad. If you're watching on the live stream, drop your comments. If it makes sense, I will try to get your questions answered by the auditor. We'll be right back here on WYAB. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here live on WYAB. Streaming worldwide, WYAB.com, as well as the TuneIn app and Alexa. Just search WYAB. And, of course, we are in 4K video. Live streaming on Facebook, X, YouTube, Rumble, and TikTok. We got State Auditor Shad White here in the studio, and this segment is brought to you by our friends over at Guns and Gear right there, Highway 51 North, Gluckstadt, Mississippi. Stop by, see Hunter and the team today. You know, you can go back and listen to Monday's show on the podcast or the live stream. We had Hunter and Tyler Tharp here in the studio doing a Second Amendment roundtable, talking about everything kind of gun related, what's in the news and whatnot. Swing by, support the people that support us. That's Guns and Gear, your home for all your firearm purchases as well as accessories. That's in the name, Guns in Gear. And they can also take care of all your Cerakoting and gunsmithing needs as well. And just like Ellis Autoplex, they'll buy your gun if you need to get out from under one. Want to trade your gun in? They can do all that there at Guns and Gear. Highway 51 North, Gluckstadt, Mississippi, right there at Yandell Road, locally owned, locally operated, or should I say patriot-owned and patriot-operated. Hunter Sarton's good folks. He's one of us. Go out there and support that guy. All right, here in the studio, we've got State Auditor Shad White and my good friend Shaun YURTKURAN, former Hinds County ADA, that's Assistant District Attorney for 10-plus years. So we really love and enjoy Shaun's experience and expertise when we have these kind of conversations. Shaun, I think you had a question you were wanting to ask the auditor before we went to break.
Yeah, it was about this bill, the one that's in the Senate that's going to limit your powers. And I'm not super well versed on it, but there was a couple of things I did pick up. So it is going to prevent your ability to to audit people that receive less than $10 million. Is that right?
Yep. So for some entities, so we can still audit government entities, but it limits our ability to audit nonprofits and for-profit companies below some thresholds.
Okay, and that would be just like the sub-grantees in the TANF scandal. Is that correct?
Absolutely. But, here's another example. If you limit our ability to audit for-profit companies that get taxpayer funds, we've had even bigger cases into for-profit companies who receive taxpayer funds. I'll give you a very, very simple example. A few years ago, we did an investigation on a pharmacy benefit manager, which is a corporation, a for-profit company that was receiving taxpayer funds. And what we found, we did a very similar investigation to something being done by the Ohio State Auditor at the same time. What we found is some examples of billing outside of what the contract allowed. So at the end of the investigation, on the same day, that company cut an $88 million check to Ohio, and they cut a $55 million check to Mississippi. It was the largest civil recovery in the history of the state auditor's office that resulted from a state auditor's investigation and made the Wall Street Journal. Big, important deal for taxpayers here in Mississippi. And when you start cutting off my ability to do those kinds of audits of for-profit companies, we're going to have problems. Those folks are not dumb. They're going to read this legislation and say, hey, guess what? As long as we run our money through an LLC that's getting below this amount of funds, we're good. State auditor can't even walk in here. So we don't need to be doing stuff like this. And really, for anything that you'll ask me about in the bill, Shaun, my big picture question is why?
Yeah, that's what's my
why are we doing
that
this?
was my next question.
Is there a reason for cutting off my ability to do that other than maybe these politicians are worried about something or they're protecting one of their lobbyist buddies or somebody else? What is the reason here? I still can't figure it out.
That's what, because I was thinking about, with your exchange with Senator Polk and him bringing up his constituent Brett Favre, and this would include money that went to Favre if that were something that happened now, post this bill, or money that happened to anybody that I guess Nancy knew used as a sub-grantee, because they were all under $10 million.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we're talking about the DiBiase's, those groups, and everybody like that. So it just seems to be that was going to be my next question. What would be the purpose of limiting your ability to do that?
I cannot wait for the lieutenant governor to come on your show and answer that question. That's great. I'm really excited to see that happen. Please call me and I'll tune in that day. I have the same question, and I can't get answers from anybody, which leads me to believe that the only answer is either somebody's afraid of something. So some politician has somebody or something like that, and they're afraid of something. Or this is just about politics. This is just, we got to cut Shad off at the knees so that he can't do his job, so that there are no more headlines, so he's not a threat to run against me for governor. It's one of those two things. Maybe it's both of them. I don't know. But I'm left grasping at straws here because I can't think of a real policy reason for doing that right there.
Well, because you don't have prosecutorial authority. You can just
Correct.
refer to AG's office, DA's offices, and whatnot. So I would think that if I'm writing a bill, I'd want to expand your authority to audit things, because conservatives generally, y'all are conservatives, are about getting rid of government waste.
That's where my brain is at over here.
Yeah,
why are we doing? We should be doing the opposite.
Right, give you more power and maybe even expand that into prosecutorial power. I think might not even be a bad idea, considering where. I don't know what I know it's a little bit, because you have to jump around to different jurisdictions, AG's office, the DA's office.
Yeah.
If you had an in-house team, it seemed like that might run more efficiently.
Yeah. I read a poll this morning that said that of President Trump's first executive orders, the most popular have been the ones cutting down on waste and corruption in the federal government. That's the most universally popular among Republicans and Democrats and independents. Yeah. So we got that going on in the federal government, which is great. We got a president who is finally keying in on waste and corruption inside the federal government. And down here in Mississippi, it's the exact opposite. Our establishment politicians are drafting bills in the dead of night to try to strip away authority from the state auditor's office. And look, if they don't like me, that's fine. Lots of people don't like me. If they don't like how I look, that's fine. Don't care. But think about what you're doing to the entity, the office of the state auditor. I'm not always going to be in this office. Don't strip away authority from the office of the state auditor, because this is the watchdog. This was designed under our constitutional system of government to be the watchdog of taxpayer funds. Don't take authority away from it. It just makes no sense at all.
And you spoke about President Trump, where Clay and I were talking about that last segment. One of the things I like that he's done the last week is say, I'm going to do this buyout for federal employees. Yep. I thought it was really a great idea. Like, okay, how much can we save by doing that? And so I think that goes to kind of your point here. Or what Clay and I were saying, that, you would want to make your authority more. I mean, how does it hurt by giving you more power to audit? Because that just helps us all, I think, in the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really make any sense.
I may hire you as my lobbyist, Shaun. This is going well.
I mean, I'm just the way I'm looking at it, I don't see what would be the point, in all honesty, like to limit your authority to do this. We all want to cut out waste, whether you're a conservative or liberal. We all don't. I mean, this is all our money that we're paying. You know, this is our tax money.
You know, I can see where people would say, you know, that the office doesn't need prosecutorial power, because then you could say that audits and stuff could get political, and you probably want to remove yourself from that. I would think.
It's a great point. You know, like for example, our sheriffs in our counties don't also have prosecutorial authority. Sheriffs can go out and investigate a burglary or a murder, but they have to work with the prosecutor to get the actual case done. I'm fine with that. I think that's totally fine. Just don't take away my ability to go find the burglars. You know, that's what you don't want. What you want is the ability to keep doing your part of the job.
Like, I like that idea when conservatives have power, but I don't know that I would like that idea if the Democrats had power. I think you need to keep that same energy both ways. Like, let's not give too many other people prosecutorial power that don't already have it. You just want you want to leave some. You don't want things getting politicized. We've seen what can happen the last 4 years when things. I'm not saying you would do that. I'm just saying in general.
I see your point, and that is a good point, I think. But the only thing I would say to that, having worked at the DA's office for a long time and a much shorter time at the Attorney General's office, you know, when you're working in a DA's office, you're not as familiar with the kind of crimes that Shad investigates.
That's a great point.
You know, I'll tell you, to this day, I'm a street crime prosecutor. I'm now a defense attorney. I do, you know, murders, drug crimes, those kinds of. That's what I know how to do.
Most ADAs are.
That's what
most ADAs are street crime guys.
Yeah, and so your guys' stuff is a little more specialized, I think. And so if you had some, or at least maybe an attorney general. I remember at one point Jim Hood was going to appoint me to the auditor's office, and I eventually did not do it because I was like, I don't want to read all those numbers.
Bless you.
Yeah, I did not want to do that.
You lucked out.
Do you guys have attorneys from the AG's office there? Yeah.
Well, no, not from the AG's office. But what we do have is there's part of my statute that says I can hire attorneys. So we have attorneys in house, and this is how we help the ADAs, the prosecutors who are not used to our kinds of cases. We have a couple of attorneys in our investigations division. And so when we're doing an investigation, we're not just going out and digging up all the facts. We're helping to prepare a file that a lawyer can read and understand and say, here are the statutes. Here's how these people violated the statutes. We'll help you prep up for a grand jury or trial or whatever it may be. Now, we can't prosecute it because we're not allowed to do that under the statute, but we have actual real-life lawyers, both one is a former prosecutor, one has prosecutorial experience. He worked in a prosecutor's office during law school. We've got two good lawyers in our investigations division who help those prosecutors. So that's how we've kind of bridged that gap between our weird cases and the stuff that normal prosecutors do on a day-to-day basis.
We've got a question here from Bobby on YouTube. Shout out to Bobby. Is there anything you can do to stop the bill that's trying to strip the powers? I guess you call your representatives and tell them that you don't want them to vote on this bill.
Yeah, specifically
you want them to vote no on this bill.
That's right. Specifically your state senator. So the bill, I'm calling the bill the Mississippi Corruption Act because that's a much more fun title than the actual title. The bill is actually Senate Bill 2847. And look, the legislative leadership in Lieutenant Governor Hoseman's office, they're not going to listen to me, obviously. But who they will listen to is their constituents and taxpayers and voters in Mississippi. So if you want to call his office, his number is 601-359-3200. And you could just tell them, we don't like the Mississippi Corruption Act of 2025, and we want you to kill it. We want you to tell your key chairman who wrote this bill to kill it in committee, kill his own bill in his own committee.
Wait, it's called the Mississippi Corruption Act?
I have called
Oh, you've called it that. I was like, does it really call it that? Okay.
You're free to repeat that, Shaun, as many times as you like.
I was like,
that's what I wrote down here.
That's what
I wrote down
I don't know. I didn't know.
Whose office is it?
Lieutenant Governor's office.
That's Lieutenant Governor's
office. So
okay.
That's the person that I would be calling if I were a constituent, because he appoints the committee chairman. One of his key committee chairmen drafted this bill. The Lieutenant Governor's office has the ability, once a bill is drafted, they choose which committee to send it to. So a lot of times if they want to kill a bill, they're going to send it to 2 or 3 different committees, which basically kills it. In this case, he decided to send it to one committee. He decided to send it to the committee that is run by the dude who wrote the bill. So he's signaling that this is a good bill. Let's keep going forward with it. And right now is the time when we need to get folks engaged, saying that this is a bad idea. Actually, in the break, I was texting with the director of the State Financial Officers Foundation. This is a big national organization that a bunch of the state auditors and state treasurers belong to. He reached out to me this morning and he said, I cannot believe this bill to strip your powers. It's absolutely insane. This is the kind of stuff that, this is the reason our organization exists, to fight stuff like this. What can we do to help? So if this bill keeps going down the road, you'll probably see a group of auditors and state treasurers from around the country come in and say, hey, you can't do this in Mississippi. Once this starts in one state, what are we going to do? Take away state auditors' powers in every state? Then you really got a problem. Then you have a nationwide problem at that point.
You set a precedence with this bill.
100%.
And where you have corrupt state politicians, it's like, oh, we can just strip the auditor of his powers? Heck yeah.
Yeah. Why didn't we think of that?
Let's do away with the watchdog. All right, let's take a break real quick. We got State Auditor Shad White here in the studio with Shaun YURTKURAN and myself, Clay Edwards, on WYAB. We'll be right back. And to the Clay Edwards Show here with Shaun YURTKURAN and State Auditor, maybe the next governor, Shad White, here in the studio. I'm going to float that out there, man. Just kind of.
Now you jinxed me. Look at that. I got to leave.
Kind of get it out there, man. Just see how it sounds. Try it on a little bit. We got Shad White here in the studio. This segment brought to you by our friends over at Mazda of Jackson, sponsors of the Mazda of Jackson phone line here. Hey, it's time to choose Mazda, and Mazda of Jackson is home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. Mazda is already one of the most dependable brands on the road, and at Mazda of Jackson, your first year of maintenance is absolutely free. That's right, a free full year of maintenance. And did you know that every new and pre-owned Mazda, or every pre-owned vehicle at Mazda of Jackson, comes a lifetime powertrain warranty? Now, there may be some exclusions on the pre-owned, depending on if it's like over 100,000 miles, so on and so forth. So double check with them on the particular vehicle. But generally speaking, rule of thumb, just about everything sold over there, especially all your new Mazdas, come with a lifetime powertrain warranty. There's never been a better time to choose Mazda. Visit Mazda of Jackson, I-55 Frontage Road, and online at MazdaofJackson.com. Got rates starting as low as 0.9% on 2025 models. And as previously mentioned, first year maintenance free, and it's the home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. MazdaofJackson.com. All right, Shad, appreciate you coming in this morning. Look, one of the things we were just talking about off air, and I was just saying this is a conversation I've had with some folks. If the lieutenant governor and his cronies' intentions are to, besmirch you, I guess, I think they're doing the complete opposite, because I think here, as I told you the other day, I said, I feel like my radio show touches your most common average Mississippian. Mm-hmm. Not just your country club conservatives that you would think listen to conservative talk radio. I think we reach a lot of normies, blue-collar folks. They get up and go to work every day and don't necessarily keep up with the nuts and bolts of what goes on at the Capitol. And coming off what we just saw with Trump the last 4 years, really the last 10 years, but in particular the last 4 years, people going after him and trying to mold a narrative about him. I think all they're doing is making you even more popular and a sympathetic figure of sorts. Maybe that's not the best word, but for lack of a better word, I think they're making you a sympathetic figure and a fighter for the people. And because that's how it's coming across. When big government tells the state auditor, you know what, you don't look over here, and we'll take your powers away if you do. Your average Joe out there, Bubba, is hold on now, those is my tax money. Why can't the state auditor look at that? Shad's fighting for me. Is what they're doing. I think it's going to blow up in their face.
I think you're absolutely right. I think in what you were talking about before about Senator Polk and Favre, right? He comes across as like he's talking about what about my constituent Brett Favre? Well, why is that the number one guy you're concerned about? I mean, this was a huge scandal where taxpayers got taken by tons of different groups. But that makes you look like you're defending you're defending the elitists in society is the way they come across, and he's on Delbert's side. This looks nothing but bad, in my opinion.
It's kind of interesting because in the auditor's office, we tend to just wake up and do the job. You wake up and you say, all right, here are cases that we've got to debate today. As this bill was being dropped, for example, we had an all hands meeting of our key investigators and our top 2 or 3 CPAs to talk about a big case that we've potentially got coming up here in 2 or 3 weeks. So it's really weird coming to the outside world and seeing that folks got really upset about this bill, as they should have, and then going back to the office and realizing, we're not actually trying to split the atom here. We're just trying to do the very specific job that we were handed by the taxpayers and by the Constitution. So anyway, that's maybe the reason it rubs me the wrong way when you see a bill like this is we wake up in the auditor's office, the 130 men and women who work there, we try to do the right thing. We try to do our jobs consistently every day. And then when somebody comes along and says, hey, I want to take some of your power from you, this is just getting in our way of doing the job. And I'll say this too, we talked about this a little bit off the air. Some folks were surprised that a bill like this got dropped. Look, I've been dealing with the Jackson Swamp for the last 2 years. And, people have asked me, well, why are you always fighting with this person or that person or whatever it is? And I have to say, well, if somebody sues you to stop you from getting back misspent money, would you fight with them? If somebody tells you you're legally not allowed to look for waste, would you fight with them? If somebody writes a bill that tries to strip you of audit powers, would you fight with them? Yeah, you better be fighting. If you're not, you need to go find a new job. This is not the job for you. And so I don't wake up feeling like I'm ready to run into a fight with every person every single day. I wake up thinking, let me do my job, get out of my way, let us cook, as the kids say. Just get out of my way and let me do my job. And if folks are going to get in the way, then, yeah, we're going to have a problem.
I don't normally take calls when we have a guest, but this is we got a call here on the Mazda Jackson phone line from Miss Angela. She's up in the Delta. She is a good representation of what I feel like are normal, everyday Mississippians. I'm curious what questions she may have. Hey, is this Angela? Hey.
Hey, Mike Magazine, how y'all doing this morning?
Hey, we're doing good, Angela. You got about a minute here. I'd get your question with Shad in for us. Great to hear from you, by the way. Thank you for listening.
Well, my question is about RINOs. But first, I want to say, Shad, I'm so glad you came to a platform like Clay Edwards because we're overlooked a lot. But I wanted to let you know that we refer to you as the ghost of Mississippi up here in the Delta because we never know when you're going to drop down. But my question is, how and I like to hey, somebody get Shad White in here. That's what I say when, I'm on my show. But my question is, how do you feel about Mississippi RINOs? Because they do exist.
It's a great question, and I get frustrated with it because our voters send very clear messages about what they care about. So, for example, in the presidential election, they send very clear messages about wanting to stop illegal immigration, about some of this crazy gender ideology that you see. Very, very, unmissable messages from our folks. And you got some folks we've got some good representatives in Jackson, but you got some folks up there who just don't want to deal with these issues. And that's the stuff that bothers me is listen to your voters. Listen to the people who elected you to do a job and spend your time working on those issues. That's the other thing that kind of makes this bill about the auditor's office frustrating is like you spent your time writing this bill. What could you have been doing with your time instead of doing something like this? So I think your caller's got a great point.
In my opinion, it's as ridiculous as the Conception Begins at Erection Act as far as just wasting time. And I took Miss Angela's call because she's a bit of a unicorn, or at least what we deem as a unicorn in Mississippi. That's a black lady from the Mississippi Delta with conservative values. So that's a bad way to word that. But she leans to the right. On a lot of issues, and I don't know her politics to be exact, but I know her well enough. She's been on the show before, and I did that because I think that she may speak for more people than we think.
Yeah.
I think people are waking up and saying, "Hey, we've been doing it this way for a long time, and it ain't working anymore.
Yep.
What's going on over here? How can I get involved over here and have a voice?" At least because let's be honest, if you're a Democrat and openly a Democrat in Mississippi on a statewide, you don't have a whole lot of options there.
Yep.
Just the way the state's laid out. So to come in here and say, I'm going to participate in this. How do I do that with the people who are already there? And that's something I had to realize a few years ago too, as a guy that likes grassroots candidates versus your mainstream, so to say. So all right, well, this is who we got. How do I work with them?
Yep.
I really appreciate her calling in like that. I was curious in what she had to.
You saw that in Trump, right? I mean, this past election, he got elected with a broader coalition than any other Republican in my lifetime, at least. And look,
probably
folks,
ever, really.
Maybe ever, right?
Yeah.
People respond to that because they see him as challenging the establishment politicians and the status quo bureaucrats. And look, I'm here to tell you, folks know this. If you think that there are just establishment politicians in Washington, D.C. and status quo bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. and not down here in Jackson, you have missed the boat. We got those same kinds of personalities down here, and that's why when you see those folks form a swamp and go after somebody, they are signaling to you who they fear the most. That's exactly what's going on with us in this bill right now. So if folks are fed up with it, the kinds of folks who, regardless of what you may look like or who you voted for in the past, voted for President Trump, if you're fed up with the status quo and you voted for President Trump, I'm here to tell you it's time to find candidates at the state level who reflect that, who reflect his same instincts, because we got a lot of waste, we got a lot of corruption, we got a lot of problems in Mississippi too.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and we see it everywhere. It's not just even the state level or local level. With Clay and I's main thing here is we talk about Jackson politics with the mayor of Jackson, and I mean, that's all we see is a constant den of corruption. And, there needs to be people watching that. I mean, people like that. I'm glad that we kind of feel that we do that on the radio. We've been calling those two, Jody and Chokwe, out for before anybody really was, and kind of put our neck on the lines on that and don't regret doing that. But people need to say something about this kind of stuff.
Do you think the mayor's going to file to run again?
That was, we just talked about. No, we both do not think so.
Interesting.
We both do not think so.
Like I'll take a $100 bet from anybody that wants to do it. No, I guess that's illegal. I can't do that. But in theory, I would take a $100 bet. I'll buy you lunch one day at one of our great sponsors here if I'm wrong. But I don't think he will, because I think he's got too much to lose. I think it's too much of a roadmap, as Shaun has pointed out.
Yeah.
But the fly on the wall is his ego.
That's the problem.
We're dealing with. We got to take one last break. We got Shad White here with the State Auditor. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show with Shaun YURTKURAN and State Auditor Shad White on WYAB, the only conservative talk station in the state of Mississippi that doesn't take taxpayer dollars. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here with Shaun YURTKURAN and State Auditor Shad White. We got about a minute and a half left here with the auditor. Shad, appreciate you coming back on the show, brother. We're obviously going to be following this. Guys, reach out to the Lieutenant Governor's office and let them know that you want the Mississippi Corruption Act stopped. What was the bill number again? I put my notes up. SB
2847.
2847.
Yep.
Shad, you got any words you want to close us out with, brother?
No, man, I really appreciate what y'all are doing. Can I tell you a Clay Edwards Show story real fast? So after the first time I came on, I was walking through my neighborhood with my daughter, and this is like 4 or 5 doors down from me, and this woman was out. She was checking her mail, and she looked at me, and I mean, I had like a ball cap on. I hadn't shaved. Like I was not looking like I look right now. And she said, "I know you from somewhere." And I said, "Well, we live just like 3 or 4 doors right down there, and I run through the neighborhood. I walk through the neighborhood all the time." She's like, "No, that's not it." And I said, I'm the state auditor, so sometimes on like local news I'm on. Right. And she's like, "No, that's not it. I don't watch local news." and as she's saying that, she said, "Oh, wait, I know where it was. You were on the Clay Edwards Show." And I was like, "Yes, I was. I was actually on the Clay Edwards Show." So you're talking about reaching the normies. This is a person who is getting her news through you. She's probably watching Fox News at night, and she's getting her local news through you.
Love it, man. Love it. Good, guys. To everybody out there listening, thank y'all so much for little anecdotes like that. That's why I get up and do this, because I know we're reaching those people. Shad, thank you. Shaun, thank you. See y'all tomorrow. Peace.